In the vast history of American coinage, there are certain years and certain coins that stand out not because of how many were made, but because of the mistakes that slipped through the minting process and gave birth to rare treasures that collectors would one day pay fortunes to own. One such coin is the US 1978 one-dime coin, an everyday piece of pocket change that many people passed from hand to hand without thinking twice, but under the right circumstances, with the right error, it could transform from a simple 10-cent piece into a collector's dream worth between $60,000 and $130,000. It's incredible to think that something so small, light, and ordinary could hold within it the power to change someone's financial future. That's the beauty of rare coin collecting, the thrill that any coin in your drawer could be one of these hidden gems. The story of the 1978 dime begins, like all U.S. coinage, at the United States Mint. By that year, the Roosevelt dime had already been in circulation for more than 30 years, first introduced in 1946 to honor President Franklin D. Roosevelt after his passing. The coin's design, featuring his portrait on the obverse and a torch flanked by olive and oak branches on the reverse, became one of the most iconic and enduring designs in American currency. In 1978, millions of these dimes were struck in both Philadelphia and Denver, filling cash registers, piggy banks, and coin rolls across the nation. But hidden among those countless flawless strikes were a few mistakes. Tiny anomalies in the minting process that collectors now scour the globe to find. Coin errors can happen for many reasons. Misaligned dies, doubled strikes, missing mint marks, off-center strikes, and planchet flaws, just to name a few. Most errors are caught by the mint's quality control and never make it into circulation, but every so often, a few slip through unnoticed. And when they do, years later, they can command staggering prices on the collector's market. The 1978 dime is one of those cases. Certain error varieties from this year have astonished collectors with their rarity and beauty. Now, think about the ordinary person back in 1978, maybe a teenager using a dime to call home on a payphone, a parent handing one to a child for a gumball machine, or someone dropping a handful of coins on a diner counter to pay for a cup of coffee. To them, the dime was just 10 cents. But if that dime carried a rare mint error, say a double die strike, a dramatic off-center strike, or a missing mint mark, they would unknowingly be holding a coin today valued anywhere from $60,000 to $130,000. That's the fascinating twist of fate in coin collecting. What was once seen as a flaw becomes, decades later, a priceless treasure. Collectors hunt relentlessly for these rarities. For example, a 1978 Roosevelt dime with a strong double die error on the obverse, where Roosevelt's features, lettering, or date appear doubled under magnification, can bring massive premiums at auction. Similarly, a 1978 dime struck dramatically off-center, where part of the design is missing and blank space is left on the planchet, can drive collectors into bidding wars. Even coins with missing mint marks, which should have indicated their origin from Philadelphia or Denver, have fetched astonishing amounts due to their extreme scarcity. What makes this coin even more engaging is the connection it creates between the past and the present. Every time a collector picks up a 1978 dime with one of these minting mistakes, they hold a piece of history that traveled through countless hands before being recognized for what it really was. Maybe it was tucked away in a jar for decades, sitting silently among ordinary coins, waiting for someone with a keen eye to uncover its hidden value. That's part of the magic. Unlike other collectibles that are designed to be rare, error coins are accidents of history, unintended, unplanned, and irreplaceable. And the market for such coins is anything but ordinary. When these rare 1978 error dimes appear in auctions, they capture global attention. Collectors, dealers, and investors all compete fiercely, knowing full well that the next opportunity to acquire one might not come for years. Reports of prices ranging from $60,000 to $130,000 have only fueled this frenzy, pushing more people to check their old change jars, inherited coin collections, and dusty rolls of coins tucked away in safes or attics. The appeal of the 1978 error dime is also tied to its symbolism. The Roosevelt dime was designed to honor a president who led America through the Great Depression and World War II, a man remembered for his resilience and vision. To have a coin bearing his image become a rare and valuable error piece adds another layer of significance. It turns an ordinary dime into not just a collectible but a piece of storytelling, a blend of history, accident, and human fascination. Stories circulate in the numismatic world of people who stumbled upon these treasures unknowingly. A person sorting through inherited coins might find what looks like a misaligned or oddly struck 1978 dime, only to later discover that it's worth tens of thousands. Dealers at coin shows often recount the excitement of finding a coin misidentified in a bulk lot, only to realize it's one of the elusive error varieties. These tales are part of what keeps the community of collectors energized. The possibility that somewhere, even now, another one of these hidden gems is waiting to be found. For new collectors, the 1978 dime serves as a powerful reminder to always look closely at coins. A magnifying glass, good lighting, and attention to detail can reveal doubling on letters, missing elements, or unusual strikes that are easy to miss at a glance. The difference between a dime worth 10 cents and one worth $100,000 often comes down to the smallest details. That's why coin collectors train themselves to see what others overlook. The investment potential of such a coin is staggering as well. Rare coin values tend to increase over time, especially for pieces with strong demand and limited supply. A 1978 error dime purchased decades ago for a modest premium could today bring life-changing sums at auction. And as awareness spreads, demand only grows stronger, meaning these rare coins are likely to remain highly sought after for years to come. At its core, the story of the 1978 one-dime error coin is about the unexpected. It's about how something ordinary can transform into something extraordinary because of a flaw, a mistake, a momentary slip in the minting process that nobody noticed at the time. It's a reminder that history is full of surprises and that treasures can hide in plain sight. Whether you're a seasoned numismatist or someone just curious about the value of the coins in your pocket, the 1978 error dime captures the imagination and proves that even the smallest coin can hold enormous worth. So, the next time you hold a Roosevelt dime from 1978, don't dismiss it as just another piece of spare change. Look closer. Study the details. Because somewhere out there, one of those dimes is worth between $60,000 and $130,000, and it could just as easily be in your possession as in the hands of a collector across the country. That's the thrill, the mystery, and the enduring fascination of rare coins. The knowledge that history and fortune can rest in the palm of your hand. The 1993 US one-dime coin may seem like an ordinary piece of change you've likely seen 1,000 times. But beneath its small silver-colored surface lies a story that has shocked collectors, historians, and everyday people who suddenly realized that the coins in their pockets or coin jars might be worth far more than they ever imagined. This dime, minted during the presidency of Bill Clinton, is part of the long-running Roosevelt dime series, which began in 1946 to honor Franklin D. Roosevelt. But what makes some of these 1993 dimes so valuable isn't simply age or popularity, but the rare minting errors and unique qualities that have turned an otherwise common coin into a potential treasure worth tens of thousands of dollars. Some of these errors are so extraordinary that the coin's value has reached jaw-dropping levels, with auction prices ranging anywhere from $50,000 to $120,000 depending on the condition, rarity, and type of error. To understand why a simple dime could be worth as much as a luxury car or even a down payment on a house, you need to step back into the early 1990s, a time when the U.S. Mint was transitioning technology and dealing with the sheer scale of producing millions of coins every day. With such large numbers in circulation, the occasional mistake slipped through the cracks. These errors are what collectors chase today. For the 1993 dime, certain misstrikes, double dies, and off-center strikes have become the stuff of legend. Imagine someone casually spending one at a grocery store years ago, not realizing that what they handed over for a pack of gum might one day fetch six figures at auction. This irony is what fuels the fascination, because it shows how value can be hidden in plain sight. The design itself is instantly recognizable. The obverse features the portrait of Franklin D. Roosevelt, symbolizing leadership, courage, and resilience. On the reverse, you find the torch flanked by olive and oak branches, representing liberty, peace, and strength. But when errors disrupt these familiar details, collectors pay attention. For example, a double die error might make the lettering of liberty, or in God we trust, appear slightly doubled, catching the light in a strange way that trained eyes notice immediately. A misaligned die might cut off parts of Roosevelt's face or skew the torch on the reverse. To the untrained eye, these look like imperfections, But to collectors, they're like fingerprints, unique markers of history that make one coin unlike any other. What makes the 1993 dime especially fascinating is how few pristine examples with rare errors are known to exist. Out of the millions produced, only a tiny fraction bear these quirks. This scarcity creates intense competition whenever one surfaces. Stories have circulated about people who found these coins tucked away in old collections, in change jars inherited from grandparents, or even in circulation where no one thought to look. One particular example sold at auction for over $80,000 because of its nearly flawless strike combined with a rare misprint, while another, with even more dramatic doubling on its design, approached the higher end of the scale, close to $120,000. Collectors often emphasize the thrill of the hunt. It isn't just about the financial payoff, though that certainly doesn't hurt. It's about uncovering something unique, holding in your hand a small piece of history that slipped through the quality control of the mint and somehow survived decades without being lost, damaged, or spent carelessly. Every time a new era coin is discovered, it reignites excitement within the community, sparking debates and discussions about how many more might still be out there. Could one be sitting right now in a random piggy bank, waiting to surprise its owner with the kind of news that could change their financial future? The grading of these coins plays a huge role in their value. A coin graded by professional services like PCGS or NGC as mint state with an unusual error will easily skyrocket in price. The difference between a circulated 1993 dime with a faint error and an uncirculated one with a sharp, dramatic flaw can be tens of thousands of dollars. Collectors know that presentation matters, and that's why so many invest in protecting, certifying, and displaying these rare treasures. Beyond the financial aspect, there's a cultural one as well. Coins like the 1993 dime represent a strange intersection of history, art, and economics. Roosevelt's portrait, chosen after his leadership during the Great Depression and World War II, was meant to symbolize hope. That message still resonates, but when paired with a rare error, it transforms into a narrative of unexpected fortune. It reminds people that even something as ordinary as spare change can hold extraordinary value if looked at closely enough. There are also the human stories tied to these coins, which make them all the more compelling. For example, collectors have shared accounts of stumbling upon a 1993 dime in old rolls of coins purchased from banks. Someone might have spent hours searching through hundreds of coins, only to suddenly notice an odd detail that others overlooked. That moment, the instant recognition that they were holding something special, has been described as a mix of shock, disbelief, and pure joy. And then comes the realization. This little 10-cent coin, meant for everyday transactions, could fetch a life-changing sum of money, anywhere from $50,000 to $120,000, depending on the exact error and condition. It's this mix of possibility and rarity that keeps people talking about the 1993 dime. It proves that valuable treasures don't always come in flashy packages. Sometimes they're small, unassuming, and hiding in places most people wouldn't think to look. Collectors and enthusiasts are constantly reminding others to keep their eyes open, because the next major discovery might be just around the corner. The appeal of the 1993 dime doesn't lie only in its monetary worth but in the broader narrative it tells. It connects generations, linking those who minted, spent, and saved these coins in the 1990s with today's collectors who appreciate them not only as currency but as artifacts of history. In a sense, each rare error coin is a bridge across time, a tangible reminder of how mistakes can create unexpected value, and how patience and attention to detail can reward those who are willing to look a little closer. So the next time you come across a dime, don't dismiss it as just another coin. Take a moment to look carefully at the lettering, the strike, the alignment, the details in Roosevelt's profile. You may just find yourself holding something far rarer and more valuable than you could ever imagine. And if it happens to be one of those 1993 error dimes, you might be staring at a piece of pocket change that's not worth 10 cents, but instead anywhere from $50,000 all the way up to $120,000. That's the magic of coin collecting. It turns the ordinary into the extraordinary, and it makes you wonder what treasures might already be in your possession, waiting to be discovered. The United States 2004 one-dime coin might look like an ordinary piece of change to most people. But beneath that small silver surface lies a story that has captured the imagination of coin collectors, treasure hunters, and everyday people alike. When we think of a dime, it usually doesn't mean much. 10 cents, something we barely notice when it jingles in our pockets or when we toss it into a tip jar. But there are rare instances when a simple dime becomes something far more valuable, something so extraordinary that it can change someone's financial life in an instant. That's exactly what has happened with certain 2004 dimes, which have shocked the numismatic world by fetching values ranging from $4,200 all the way up to $102,000. Yes, you heard that right. A 10-cent coin that could be worth over $100,000. The Roosevelt dime design is one that Americans have seen for decades. First introduced in 1946 to honor President Franklin D. Roosevelt, the coin carries his portrait on the obverse, a symbol of his leadership during some of America's toughest times. On the reverse, you'll find the torch of liberty flanked by an olive branch and an oak branch, symbolizing peace and strength. By 2004, the design had become so familiar that few people gave it much thought. Billions of dimes passed through the mint, circulated through banks, stores, and change machines. To most people, they were just dimes, nothing more. But as collectors know, sometimes it's the smallest details that make the biggest difference. The 2004 dime is one of those cases where errors and rarity transformed an everyday coin into a treasure. The U.S. Mint produces coins at incredible speed, striking hundreds of coins per minute. With such high production, errors are inevitable. And while the vast majority of dimes come out perfectly, a tiny fraction do not. These are the coins that collectors dream about. For the 2004 dime, error varieties like off-center strikes, double dies, or even wrong planchet strikes are some of the most exciting finds. Imagine a dime struck slightly off-center so that Roosevelt's face seems shifted or cut off. Or one with doubling in the lettering, where words like liberty or in God we trust look shadowed or doubled. These aren't just mistakes, they're treasures because they're so rare. The excitement around the 2004 dime is partly due to timing. It came just a few years after the launch of the State Quarters program in 1999, which reignited public interest in collecting coins. Millions of Americans were paying closer attention to their pocket change, looking for rare state quarters to complete their sets. In the process, many started noticing other coins too, including dimes. That attention meant that unusual 2004 dimes didn't go unnoticed. Instead, they found their way into collections, grading services, and eventually, high-profile auctions. One of the most fascinating parts of the story is the value these dimes have reached. Certain rare examples of the 2004 dime, especially those preserved in pristine condition with dramatic minting errors, have stunned collectors by selling for extraordinary sums. Auction records have confirmed sales ranging from $4,200 to $102,000, depending on the coin's condition and rarity. Think about that for a moment. A coin most people wouldn't even bend down to pick up off the ground could instead be worth more than a new car, or even more than a year's salary. That kind of discovery doesn't just make headlines. It fuels dreams of treasure hunts in everyday life. For collectors, the thrill is in the hunt. Every time someone gets change back at a grocery store, empties a coin jar, or searches through rolls of dimes from a bank, there's a chance, however small, that a rare 2004 dime could be waiting. That's the beauty of modern coin collecting. You don't need to be digging in the ground or searching through antique shops to find treasure. Sometimes, it's sitting right in your wallet, just waiting to be discovered. But what exactly makes a 2004 dime so valuable? The answer lies in a combination of rarity, condition, and demand. First, rarity. Only a tiny fraction of dimes produced in 2004 have the kinds of errors or unique qualities that make them collectible. Second, condition. Coins that are sharp, lustrous, and free from scratches or where command far higher prices. Collectors are willing to pay a premium for coins that look like they just left the mint, even if they're decades old. And third, demand. Because stories of valuable coins capture public attention, more and more collectors want to own a piece of the action, driving prices up even further. Some of the most valuable 2004 dimes have been certified by professional grading services, which authenticate the coin, assign it a grade, and confirm any errors. Once a coin has been graded and sealed in a protective holder, collectors have confidence in its authenticity, and that's when the real bidding wars begin. At auctions, it's not uncommon to see collectors battle fiercely for ownership of a rare coin, pushing prices higher and higher. When the auctioneer finally calls sold at a figure like $42,000, $80,000, or even $102,000, the room often gasps at the idea that a dime could command such a price. It's important to remember that not every 2004 dime is worth a fortune. Most are still worth just 10 cents. But that's part of what makes the hunt so exciting. You never know when you might stumble upon the rare one. Could be hiding in a roll of coins from the bank, in a jar of change that's been sitting on a dresser for years, or even in the handful of coins you get back from a vending machine. The possibility is what keeps collectors searching. The story of the 2004 dime also teaches us something bigger about history and value. Coins aren't just money, they're artifacts. Each one tells a story about the year it was made, the people it honors, and the time period it represents. The 2004 dime, with its Roosevelt design, connects us back to a president who changed the course of American history. It also represents a moment when the mint was producing coins during a time of high demand, a time when collectors were energized by new programs, and when the smallest of mistakes could create treasures worth thousands. Collectors often say that the best part of numismatics isn't the money, it's the stories. Yes, the values are incredible, but the thrill comes from discovering something extraordinary in the ordinary. It's about holding history in your hands, about realizing that something as small as a dime can carry such weight, both financially and historically. So the next time you see a dime dated 2004, don't dismiss it. Look closely at the details. Does the lettering look doubled? Does the coin look off-center? Does it feel different in weight? Is it in pristine, uncirculated condition? If the answer to any of these is yes, you might just be holding something that could be worth far more than 10 cents. And if it happens to be one of the rare, extraordinary examples, it could be worth anywhere from $4,200 to as much as $102,000. That's the kind of possibility that keeps the world of coin collecting alive. A dime isn't just a dime. It's a chance, a mystery, and maybe even a life-changing treasure. Every coin has a story, and the 2004 dime has one of the most captivating stories of all.